Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the Weplay Invitationals. I am sitting in for the second best of three alongside Spuddington, I should say, and it's going to be Meet Your Makers facing off against Karont. So I've been informed, because I had to sit in last second, we thought we had another caster, unfortunately wasn't able to respond, that Karont is a mixture between ex-wizards and giants. Is that correct, Spuddington?
Yeah, something along those lines. They are also obviously, somewhat partly made up of giants, they're also a fairly Spanish team, and Karont apparently means something in Spanish to do with ancient mythology, that kind of thing. Very fancy name, fancy name.
Absolutely, but we are going to be jumping into this picks and bans stage. We're both watching off the stream, so we may have some issues with being a few seconds behind, but we'll do our very best to keep on top of all of it. So it's going to be Jarvan the Fourth, Syndra, Kennen, Rumble, Aatrox, and Caitlyn. Some pretty interesting bans there, Spud.
Yeah, you do tend to see when you're getting teams from different regions going up against each other, you get different styles of bans, and it's definitely true. Rumble in EU West is really not a very contested pick. People do not like Rumble on the whole in EU West, but regions like NA, well, they tend to have a different style, and they certainly still prize the Rumble pick. But, you know, different teams, different styles. MYM themselves, yes, they are a European team, but they, I think, have a different sort of style of themselves, and obviously every team, regardless of region, ends up with at least some minor playstyle differences.
Yes, but Shyvana, who is now seeing a lot more play, has not been eliminated in the banning phase and will be first picked in for Meet Your Makers. So more than likely going to be ran in the jungle, I would expect, from Meet Your Makers, but of course it could also be played at the top lane, Spud.
Yeah, well, usually you do see jungle, as you mentioned. She is the epitome of a character that only needs experience to function, but as you say, we might see her in that top lane if the matchup is good. I would expect generally jungle, though, because there are some matchups where Shyvana really doesn't do that well, where she either gets outscaled or where she just tends to suffer from that problem of being outranged and outpoked. MYM, though, at the moment, have got quite a few power picks at the moment. In the current meta, I think you can say Shyvana and Lucian certainly very, very well prized, and Zyra also still pretty high up there on the priority list.
Yes, certainly. So lots of burst damage, lots of trading potential at the bot lane for both Makla and also Libic. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this pays off and what Karont are going to do in retaliation to go with their AD carry. Looks as though they're going to go with the Jinx. So Jinx Thresh against Lucian Zyra, that's pretty interesting. It's a fairly unorthodox bot lane from what we've seen recently.
Yeah, well, Lucian is like almost from nowhere, like even maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago, seems to be suddenly coming into the meta, and everyone has suddenly realized he's really, really strong. Jinx, well, when she was released, she was almost immediately nerfed a little bit. We haven't seen too much of her since then, but she works well with these fairly CC-heavy compositions, and you can already see Karont have Thresh, they have Gragas, they have Elise, all three fairly safe laning champions, fairly strong CC to just stop people from diving onto Jinx and taking advantage of her low mobility. But in return, it seems like MYM have gotten themselves possibly a slight edge in terms of their ability to just push waves really, really quickly, because Lucian has very good wave clear for an AD carry, Shyvana has very good wave clear for a jungler, Renekton has very good wave clear for a top laner, and obviously Ziggs really, really good wave clear for a mid laner.
Yeah, so a couple of things to mention. One, Renekton has been locked in, so I'm assuming that's going to be for Kubon at top lane. Therefore, Shyvana will be running in jungle as we expected. And secondly, as you just touched upon there at the end, they got Ziggs, who is regarded as being top tier mid laner right now, especially coming across from NA. You got Shipta, and you've also got Prolly as well, who run Ziggs to very, very good effect. So it's not too surprising to me to see Meet Your Makers taking this one down. They now got Charu coming in, so last time around we were casting Meet Your Makers, they actually had a substitute. I believe it was Febiven was playing in the mid lane for them, so it's good that they've got their mid laner back, and they're going to be looking to take down Karont, because the first game that you guys were casting, Dignitas UK getting knocked out 2-0, I think was a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. I think going into this one, lots of people would expect to see Meet Your Makers progressing through as well.
Yeah, that is the standard thing. I mean, MYM ex-LCS team with their current lineup, so they are a really, really strong team. There is absolutely no denying it, but there's always young blood coming up, and you do have to wonder with a team like MYM, who have been around for as long as any team you would care to mention, whether they may have hit a plateau and kind of the rest of the teams out there are starting to catch up with that and could potentially surpass them as time goes on. Regardless, though, experience versus a relatively new team. I believe, though, we have hit the delay timer, so we will be just going into a quick break while we wait for the game to get going, and we'll see you after this.
Walking down the road less traveled. It's harder when the sun is shining, 'cause the light's not fair. I'm talking to my darkest shadows. This love is do or die, but they don't care. I don't know why I do this to myself. It's not right, but I can't love no one else, no one else. But I can't love no one else, no one else. But I can't love no one else, but I can't love no one
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are now underway with the second best of 3 of this evening of the Weplay Invitational. Karont3 versus MYM, meet your makers, who are circling around for this upper tri-brush area, and it looks like K3 have kind of picked that out because you can see them pinging.
You can, so it seems to me we could have some early action with Shyvana at bot as well. This is going to be a 4 versus 5 if it kicks off. Question is, can K3 jump on this? They have just seen Livic plants down the ward, and due to the fact they're kind of split up there in a 3-2 formation, I don't think they wanted to jump on top of that. They were very wary of the fact that the first few seconds there would have been outnumbered. But, you know, that we can see the whole map here, Spud, had they have gone in, I think K3 actually would have came out ahead.
Yeah, they also skilled Death Sentence on Tremnek before that happened, so it was a definite call they made to say, no, we're not going to go for this. Maybe they were just a little bit paranoid, but I do feel like they may have cost themselves a potential kill there. As it happens, though, they are going to be going into the enemy jungle, putting down a ward here, and Makate will spot that out so he can probably place a guess at where is warded, and that's nice for him to know, but still not going to change the fact they're going to see which buff he started on.
Yeah, so super close openings, but nothing quite kicking off yet. Both junglers going to their first buffs, going to be a red for Makate and a blue for Karont3, and no lane switch ups as well, Spud. It's going to be standard mid laners going up against each other and top laners going top, and of course that's going to leave the duo lanes at the bottom.
Yeah, and we've actually got a Malphite today, which is a pick we have not seen in a long time now. He is still pretty solid. I mean, solid. He's still a fairly strong character overall. It's just maybe a little bit less so than he used to be, and perhaps in this meta, hard engage is less valued. However, it is looking like we may see a fight over this red buff.
Yes, indeed. Makate's coming around the side. There is a ward down here, so Eco has got plenty of jump on top of him. It's going to be taking down the red buff, and in actual fact it's Eco that takes that one down, so he's actually going to be coming out a buff ahead, seeing as he picked up his blue first, and Makate's invade simply did not pay off.
Yeah, indeed, Karont3 that even managed to get the little one, so he's now level 3. That means even though he had to flash away from Makate before, he's now significantly stronger, significantly ahead, and he's actually now going for the Ziggs gank on Charu. This could be dangerous for him, but he's got Satchel. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He hasn't picked up the W just yet, so he's going to take a lot of damage here from Eco. Did not have to burn either of his summoners, but is going to be forced back here. So nice little play. Lucian at bot lane will be going down surely for first blood. There we go. Jinx will be picking up the pieces. Now going to be turning back onto Tremnek, who's 8 an Ignite for his troubles, but he's going to be okay. So first blood going down to Karont3.
Yeah, scary stuff there, but as it happens, not going. I mean, it's going to cost definitely quite a lot in the long run for MYM here, but from their perspective, could definitely be worse. Zyra is a support who will actually be able to A, get the minions under the tower, and B, actually use the gold for something in the long run. So, bad start, but not as bad as it could have been, and they do definitely have to watch Makate.
Uh-oh, Makate is still behind on XP, considered he didn't get that second buff, but he's going to be okay with burnout, gives him a nice speed up, and he's going to get back to his lane. Again, though, is weakened, so that's going to stymie his jungle a tiny bit. Charu needs to be careful. As I said previously, has not burnt his flash just yet, but he gets caught from the cocoon. How much damage are they going to do? In fact, they're going to do enough to pick him up. Will Neptuno go down from the Ignite? No, he will not, so I can't help but feel that Charu was caught a bit lapsidaisical there in mid.
Yeah, it's just one gank after the other at the moment. Elise, having gotten the better of that fight at the red buff, was then able to just force that, force Charu into a bad situation. Once, got him low, came back down, went to kind of bully out Shyvana, then just circled right back to mid lane. He's just constantly doing things, and time management is always the thing as a jungler. You have to be efficient with your time. Right now, Eco is, I'm just going to call him Eco because that name is a mess.
Yeah.
He is just doing everything all over the place.
It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, does it? So Karont3, but I'm going to stick with Eco for now. And people saying, like, who are these randoms? They're a mixture of both giants and also, I cannot remember your teams, but please help me out here. What giants and wizards, of course, who are both big teams, or at least they were before they disbanded, went their separate ways. So these guys are not randoms. They're extremely good players. They're all challenger tier. in the loading screen all have the challenger borders, which I'm still not too keen on. I'm not sold on that just yet, Spud, but regardless, they are very good players, and not just randoms.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like you're actually rewarded slightly better for being Diamond than for being Challenger, which is a bizarre decision there by Riot. But as it happens, I mean, they just got like weird. It's like you get a gold border, but it's okay because you've got googly blue eyes. I don't know, regardless.
I certainly agree. I think the diamond border does look a lot better, but I guess that's personal preference. That being said, though, here comes Elise to the top lane. Ignite has been used on Kubon, slicing and dicing his way across and flashing. Better safe than sorry, but he's going to have to recall. So again, Karont3 has just been everywhere, all over the map. The amount of presence he's had has just been amazing.
Yeah, and this is one of the things. If Elise starts to get ahead, she really does snowball very, very hard, very, very quickly. You saw her bully out Shyvana. Now she doesn't have to worry about Shyvana walking into her jungle and fighting her or stealing her buffs. Actually, Jims has been caught, but getting the lantern out, so no worries. And it just gets that momentum going and allows her to gank constantly, which then usually, if she's getting successful ganks off, makes her ganks even more dangerous because just a little bit of experience advantage on Elise goes a long way. Her base damages are huge.
That is very true, and that's another reason why a lot of players started to play Elise support in Season 3, because same kind of reason as Zyra does a lot of damage without needing a great deal of ability power. That being said, though, Jims has been caught here from Zyra, and the Flame Chompers go down as well. Here comes the Dark Passage. Karont3 has come down to bot lane, but not going to be able to get there in time to get a successful gank off. So lots of harassment, lots of action at bot lane, and the only thing that's really kicked off down there is the first blood.
And you can see his intent in this build. Eco right now has got mobility boots, hasn't even bothered with the Spirit Stone. We have an ult coming in from Ziggs, trying to steal away that, but not getting it. That mobility boot pickup means that Elise, coupled with her Spider form movement speed, is going to be incredibly quick at getting across the map, and that amplifies her ability to just be everywhere and be ganking all the time. She's relying on her base damages, she doesn't have any tankiness, but she will be there if her team needs her, and that is just a really, really good way of taking advantage of her early strength.
Yes, whereas if you look on the flip side, Shyvana just has the Spirit Stone, where, Burnout is going to be nice in terms of mobility for Makati, but he's nowhere near as fast across the map as Karont3 is right now, especially with the Repel on top of that. Although Makati's now hit level 6, so he has the Dragon's Descent up. Meanwhile, mid lane, lots of harassment coming down. Need to be careful here, does Neptuno, because Makati is en route with the ultimate up, going to be body slamming away, and they're not too interested in trying to engage on this one.
Yeah, nice safe laner is Gragas, and that's always been his forte. Eco not able to get anything done in the top lane, and he actually does need to be careful with this mobility boot start, because yes, he has got level 6 now, he is fairly strong for this point in the game, but Kubon is very, very tanky and will have that dominance. He has to actually genuinely be careful that he doesn't get killed when he tries to go in, if he tries to go in at all.
That's a very good point, Spud, and I'm quite interested to see, with Eco just flirting with the idea of ganking at top, deciding against it, maybe going to come back after the double golems when the lane's pushed a tiny bit more onto Dragon's Tower, but in the meantime, Makati's also moving his way to top, so we could have a 2 versus 2 here, but Eco seems to be pushing himself away, going for the Wraiths instead.
So Eco, when he was kind of scouting out that lane earlier, I think he got seen very, very briefly by a minion, and I think MYM thinks he didn't know he was seen because he then kind of carried on dawdling around that area, but that's why he's not bothering to go back up there. He knows he was seen, he knows that there's a high chance of a counter gank, or at the very least that Kubon will just run away when he appears. So not easy to do, but Neptuno in mid.
Yep, going in hard onto Charu, who did flash instantly, so getting back to his own tower, going to throw down the minefield, and a few more harassment bombs on top of that. So he's going to be okay, but successful gank in the sense that they actually did take away that flash. So Eco may try and focus this mid lane just a tiny bit more.
He does need to be quite careful though, because I think one Q and one ult would kill him at that health. That is the penalty for going for that mobility boots build, and incidentally, he hasn't had a lot of luck getting ganks off with that since getting those boots. You are very, very squishy if you go for that, and you don't have a lot of damage either. Right now, if you were to run into Makati, he could probably run away from him, but he couldn't fight him. Not like he could when he was like level 3 to Makati's 2.
Yes, at least it's going to be recalling though, so curious if it's going to go for a defensive item. Indeed will. Kindle Gem, so that's 200 health plus 10% cooldown. A couple of pots, a ward as well, so it's going to be coming back that little bit tankier. So almost like he could heal you this, but he's like, yes, I agree, I need to get a bit tankier. And bot lane, Makla's taking a lot of damage. Box and Stranglethorns both used, and the ultimate from Jims. Makla's so low right now, has to flash and barrier away just to survive. So Karont3 coming out ahead at the bot lane, because now Jims is just going to be able to get some more farm, although Charo is coming down. So suddenly, a 3 versus 3. Gragas is a bit slow to the party. Libic comes in. Here comes the super mega Inferno Bomb from Charu, who's going to be picking up that kill. Can they return this one? Yes, they can, as the support from Meteor Maker's Libic will be falling. So 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, not the worst trade they've ever made. The question now, though, for top lane is whether Kubon and Mokate can dive that 2 versus 1 on a Malphite. He's tanky, he's got flash, he's got ignite, but I don't... Like, they are going for it.
Yes, they are. I'm not sure how this is going to pay off for them. Looks like they're going to go for the tower first and then maybe turn their attention, but with no minions, they're going to be absorbing a lot of damage here. And Dragon has managed to push them both away and burn both their ults as well. He's going to have to back off though, so they may still pick up this tower.
Yeah, so I was thinking it would be a very, very dangerous decision to go for the dive and go for the kill, but I actually do agree with that in the end. They will get the tower. Did cost them that dragon, but they probably would have lost that anyway, just based off the bot lane's positioning at that time. So Makler and Libic have lost their tower, and it's a 1-for-1 overall on the tower front. Right now, though, question becomes, for me, how are K3 going to be playing this? At the moment, they've got a lot of tools in their inventory for making fights happen. I mean, they've got Malphite, they've got Thresh, they've got Elise, they've got Gragas. But if they're not able to get the picks down, and there's a slight risk of that happening just because of the level of escapes on MYM and their counter engage, it's not going to be easy for them to capitalize on that. And I don't feel like their late game is going to be super strong when compared to MYM's.
So, are you a kind of an advocate here for Meteor Makers to just turtle in a bit, Spud, and look for that later game situations?
Mid lane.
Oh. Yeah, Charu's very low, and in fact will be falling as I ask you the question. Eco's going to get Dark Passaged away from Tremnek, and that really did happen in the blink of an eye. But going back onto what you're saying before, Spuds, you think that even though Meteor Makers are certainly under the cosh right now, and they're being forced very aggressively from K3, if they can turtle into the later game, you think they may come out ahead?
Yeah, I honestly do. On most fronts, that I feel like they will outscale K3. There is the slight concern that Jinx will be really strong later on, just based off of her ability to clean up, but I do definitely feel like MYM have got a stronger late game here. But if things like that keep happening, and that is exactly what K3 need to be doing, playing really aggressively, going for those dives, because they have all the tools in the world to set up ganks like that. If they can get that to work out for them, that will really go for them. But actually, Elise in the red buff area.
It's going to be cocooning Kubon, who's going to flash in there. So are they going to be able to pick up this kill? Because Dragon is round the corner as well, does have his unstoppable force. So not too sure about Kubon's chances. Been constantly slowed, and he's not going to be able to catch up with the Spider or the Rock. So he's going to have to back away.
It's okay. He killed one of the Spiderlings and got 10 gold. It's worth it.
Flash for 10 gold, definitely worth.
Every time. If I can get a ward kill from my flash, done. Even if it was before it runs out. Then you end up with like supports like putting down all 3 wards in their sightstone just to get rid of the one that other guy is going to get 30 gold from. Regardless though, it does look to me at the moment like Karont3 are kind of stocking themselves up for that mid push. Gragas recalling, so he will most likely go from there straight to that mid lane. And I feel like at the moment, MYM do actually want to keep pushing out this top lane, because Malphite, one of his weaknesses is his lack of wave clear. If they can keep him pushed up against his tower, he's not going to be able to set up a lot of ganks for his team.
Definitely, and the fact that he doesn't have teleport as well. If Malphite's stuck at top lane, he's not able to utilize his unstoppable force, which is a real team fighting changer. He can just turn the tables so quick. So if he's too preoccupied at top lane getting farm, that means he's not going to be having presence in team fights, Bud. So again, I agree. I think Meteor Makers want to harass and push the top lane and try and keep Malphite out of the fight for as long as possible.
And that is what Renekton is sort of well known for. It's almost like this weird thing where even people that don't ever split push as a playstyle choice, actually, they are going to have to watch out for this. Dragon is behind.
Oh, and Double Force comes through. Libic has been caught from the explosive cask and the death sentence on top of that, so he's going to be falling. Dragon's Ascent goes in from Makata. Nice box from Tremnex, going to slow them all down, keep them away. And they do get the free kill. Oh, the ultimate comes in from Ziggs. Very nearly takes down Tremneck, but not quite enough damage. So 1-for-0 trade at the end of the day to K3.
Indeed it is. So, as I mentioned, that is kind of what Renekton likes to be doing, but unfortunately he was not able to that time. He was forced to run away, and his timing getting back up to top lane meant that Malphite had that opportunity to then roam out and get that fight going. Neptuno going to be throwing a barrel around, getting some wards down, and good to see the mid laner buying pink wards. He's in practice for Season 4 already.
Yes, he is. You're going to see a lot more wards and a lot more players in Season 4. So as you say, he's just getting the practice in now. Grasping Roots lands on Eco. He is Elise though, so it's very slippery, but has a long way to travel. Burnout as well from Makate. Neither AD carry is moving from the bot lane, but Eco's going to be just fine and will back off. So again, K3, I've got to love the way they're playing this squad. They realise that they're stronger in the early to mid, and they're really capitalising on that. They're just constantly pushing down towers. Cubon and Dragon are fighting at top, but Dragon is just so tanky now with that Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, it's getting to that point where neither of them can really damage the other, which actually kind of favours Malphite just on the ground, gives him more opportunities to push the wave and then roam out and try and make stuff happen. Both of them are big teamfight presences. Malphite is more of an initiator and Renekton is more of a damage threat overall, but both of them have a lot to contribute in that situation. Econotus finds Libic though.
Oh, Libic's kept taking a lot of damage. I don't know if it's going to be enough burst or special. That Strangle Thoughts. Here comes a Repel. On top of that from Eco. He's going to put himself in a precarious position. Explosive Cast comes through and actually takes away that kill. Here comes the Inferno Bomb as well from Ziggs to even it back up again. So 1-for-1 trade. And Eco is not going to be living to fight for another day. Nice Dark Passage as well on Neptuno, who will manage to get back.
Yeah, so actually it looks like they're going to carry on though.
Death Sentence misses, and that's going to be the end of the engage. I think if that had landed, they'd have gone all in.
Yeah, probably would have. Explosive Cask is down though, I guess maybe not, but regardless, we'll see now what they choose to do. Lucian is committed in the bot lane. That tower is on relatively low health in the mid, but wave cleared from Ziggs, way too strong, so it looks like they're just going to be forming up for this dragon and potentially looking to catch Lucian or Mokate if he sticks around and doesn't force this fight at all in any other way.
Well, with Eco at top, I don't think K3 want to try and pick this one up because they're not going to have their smite, so it's much easier for Meet Your Makers to just go ahead and steal it. So with Eco being at the top lane, Meet Your Makers going to be jumping on this instantly, and whenever they don't have their explosive cast for a few more seconds, it is just about to come up. I don't think there's going to be enough time. Unstoppable Force comes through from Dragon. It's going to be Gragas stealing away the Drake there just as the explosive cast comes up. Huge players, Culling comes in, however, from Lucian. So what's the cost going to be of taking down the Dragon? Thus far, it's a 2-for-1 trade in favour of K3. Neptuno's very low, but he's in a safe position. Eco now is forcing down Coupon and also Lucian, who are trying their best to run away from this position. Cocoon lands. Malphite picks up the kill onto the AD carry. Here comes the Ziggs ultimate. Not quite enough to take down Neptuno. Actually missed right on the side. Coupon's going to be falling. 4-for-1 trade plus the Dragon Steal. Huge plays from K3.
Yeah, really nice. It looked like it wasn't a good fight for them because, as you mentioned, Eco committed in that top lane, unable to get there for quite a long time in that fight. But as it was, he was able to respond to that minion wave, take that down, and then roam down for the dragon fight. And in fact, that steal was almost not the major part of that fight. Just how well they ended up fighting K3 there was far more of an issue for MYM because they are now seriously behind and seriously in trouble if they get another bad team fight like that. I mean, already 6,000 gold. That is the kind of danger point.
Yeah, I mean, losing a team fight like that, the alarm bells will be beginning to ring for Meet Your Makers. Yes, they might have a strong late game, but if they don't reach late game, it's really not important. And K3, as said before, they've been going for the jugular, they've been forcing towers, been pushing as much as they can, and they've been making the big plays to back it up as well, Spud. Prime positioning from Gyms. Gragas has been having a blinder. This Meet Your Makers squad is going to have to up their game if they're going to keep in this first matchup.
Yeah, they are also going to have to contend with the fact that K3 have a really good diving team. Malphite is already at 174 armor, and that's only going to get more when he activates his W. He is capable of setting up ganks onto tower very effectively. Tremnek now is there, but I don't really think there's going to be much going on here. It does dodge the death sentence, but at this stage, yeah, MYM need to be very careful not to let themselves get caught anymore. If a few more kills like that, and it will probably go beyond them basically at that point.
Yeah, plus Jims is a full item ahead of Makler. So he's got Bloodthirster and Last Whisper compared to just the Bloodthirster of Lucian because of the difference in kills and the difference in global gold. So again, if they're going in that 5 versus 5 situation, Jinx is just going to have so much more presence in the fight, and it's going to be very difficult for Meteor Makers to position themselves where they can actually come out ahead. They're going to have to maybe pick somebody off and then engage a 4 versus 5, or as we've said previously, wait until the later stages of this game, get some form and then potentially come back stronger. But I think for the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, K3 are going to be way ahead in every single circumstance.
It does definitely feel that way. At the moment though, well, K3 are gradually pushing stuff in. You've got Jims in that bottom lane forcing back Makler a little bit, but they don't have enough vision control to be able to make really aggressive and deep plays. You will most likely see them looking to go for those kind of plays now. Tremnek has his oracles, and it looks like that Elise and Gragas are going to give him that safety he needs to start clearing that lower jungle. Malphite is now honestly pushing back Renekton one-on-one, perhaps thanks to the global gold, perhaps just a scaling difference. But at the moment, yeah, they're just ahead on all fronts and slowly crushing inwards. Neptuno is looking for the gank though.
Oh, Unstoppable Force goes in onto Kubon. Neptuno comes around from the side. This is preordained and it should be a kill. Actually, a nice flash from Kubon. Forced to ignite that to take it down. Meanwhile, at bot lane, Jinx is being chased from both Makata and Makler. They have enough damage. Dark Passage comes through. Tremnek coming to the rescue of his AD carry.
Indeed. So now Charu has to defend this tower up the top lane, but he has to be very, very careful. Neptuno going aggressive, but that has zoned him away from the tower. He did clear out the majority of the minion wave, and now they're playing this weird aggro juggling game where Neptuno and Dragon are trying to clear the wave over the wall to avoid Ziggs from clearing their own, while simultaneously zoning him out. Jim's there, throwing around this, and it looks like they're going for the mid lane.
It's so difficult for Meteor Makers to defend this because, again, the death sentence is going to be landing on Libic, and that is going to secure a kill. And a tower, 4-1 now, plus the dragons. Flame Chompers goes down. Makler's in a horrible position. He's going to fall to Eco. And also Jims, who did land the CC. Kubon's now jumping in by his lonesome. He's not too tanky, though, compared to the 4-player lineup of K3. And Malphite's just chilling at top lane. He's like, okay, guys, you got this. I'm just going to pick up another tower.
The chain CC and burst from K3 is so scary. I've got to say, actually, I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen them in any of our other events metas, because K3 are not, I mean, Karont3, whatever you call them, they're not a team I've seen really ever before, so I'm wondering if they're a recent team that's come into being, or whether they just have not been so interested in the Challenger Series. I know there are a few teams that think it's don't think it's kind of not as worthwhile. Like, I know we had NIP claiming they didn't want to show their strats in the Challenger Series because it is a relatively minor tournament in terms of prize pools. So maybe they're just not interested in it, but they certainly are performing on the level of our regulars.
I would say it may be a bit of column A and a bit of column B, because we have had Wizards and Giants, respectively, in our EUS Challenger Series before. So it could be a case that they've just made this this transition into a 5-player lineup recently, but also maybe they don't want to give away strats, I should say, as you say. So maybe it's just a case of kind of testing the waters, trying to probe Meteor Makers and see where their weaknesses are. And right now, you've got to say it's been a resounding success. Meteor Makers look in all kinds of trouble, just globally. It's going to be another dragon from Karont3. I can't see how this can be stolen unless Charu goes for it, and he will steal it away with the ultimate. So both mid laners getting that ultimate to good effect on the dragon.
They're both very, very good mid laners for it in the defense of the junglers. They're both ones that can spike huge damage at very long range, which is what you need. But it does actually look like Libic may be the one in trouble here.
Yeah, been caught again, but beautiful Stranglethorns is going to repel the invaders. They're going to have to back away, and Karont3 are not going to be able to jump on top of this. So, big play from Charu. Still, however, 8.6k gold behind.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, that hurt right in the field. They're going to be engaging off this as well, knowing that the Stranglethorns is on cooldown. Again, Death Sentence slightly missing. Dragon's taking the forefront. Culling coming down, doing a lot of damage in the meanwhile. Here comes Neptuno right through the middle. Charu's going to pick up the first kill after his support falls down, and somehow that was just a 1-for-1 trade with so much damage being exchanged.
Yeah, actually, Echo unable to really died essentially for free because Libic was picked up kind of before that fight actually began. I mean, he was that nice Gragas barrel over the wall, so Eco essentially dying for no reason because they were so keen to make something happen off it, and that is always the penalty if you are a really aggressive team. Charu could be in trouble here. He's going to find Malphite, but I'm not sure actually who is worse off.
Well, Charu's got an Ignite on his face. Satchel Charge comes down. Is it going to be enough to keep him alive? Yes, for now. And the Flash as well, so he's survived on 10 hit points. Can he make the great escape? Throwing down the mines. This could be a big play on the cards right now from Charu. Explosive Cast comes in with the Nope Truck Tester, and Charu goes back to the Death Chamber.
Yeah, he ain't dodging this one, mate. That's just way, way too big to do. I guess it does use the explosive cast cooldown, but as is exemplified by the fact he had it at all, it's a very, very short cooldown. So you will be quite happy to pick that one up. Got himself a fresh blue buff as well, and will be able to take his own after that. So K3 continuing this lead. It's now roughly 10k gold, which is probably where it's been for the last couple of minutes, but that's still a very, very large gap between the two teams. And now K3 are getting to a point where they can start to safely think about rushing Baron. They will clear it very quickly. They do have Jinx and Elise, who are both supreme Baron killers.
I'm not sure if you saw that as well. I didn't want to bring the attention to it because there was a fight kicking off, but did you see Malphite's flash? Just face planted.
Oh, when he was chasing down Ziggs.
Yeah.
It's almost like he went over the wall, like when he didn't mean to. It was really weird.
Pretty brutal stuff. So that's going to be the flash engage off the cards for Karont3 for the next couple 100 seconds or so. But it's not a big deal because they are still forcing and pushing the envelope down mid. They're just pushing all lanes simultaneously. So even with that flash on cooldown, they can still make the big plays.
Yeah, they aren't too dependent on Malphite to make their engages. They've got other options available to them. He is their final kind of go-to this "we are engaging now" button. And actually now, Dragon may potentially be giving away the fact his team is doing Baron because they are going to be spreading out, but Makate has been hooked.
He has. Death Sentence comes in and the Zap as well. Look how much damage Makate is eating. And that is one of the tankier members. Charu Ultimate comes in. It's not going to be enough to steal away Baron right now. Just going to weaken it down. And Karont3 actually missed the smite, but Gragas, good guy Gragas there to pick it up.
Yeah, we've seen several missed smites today, actually. I think we had those two dragons earlier. We've had the Team Dignitas UK match. Also saw at least one Baron going the way of a Varus arrow. So, yeah, a little bit messy, but overall it doesn't really matter on these occasions. The stolen dragons have also gone 1-for-1, as it were. So, regardless, K3 with that kill with the Baron pretty far ahead, and it doesn't look like MYM can stop them, just taking all of the outer towers. And even now, the inhib towers, honestly, I'm not sure they couldn't be dived.
Oh, I fully agree. I definitely think they could be, especially with Baron because of the health regen, the extra stats that they are getting, and how far ahead they are in terms of gold. I think it's definitely possible they could go for the dive. I mean, look at Dragon's items. He's got Sunfire Cape and Frozen Heart. It's almost impossible to kill him at this point, unless he tanks the tower for about 15-20 seconds, plus all 5 players. Explosive Cast goes back in, and Libic goes down, and Heartbeat almost gets picked up from Jim's ultimate as well. So they're doing a good job here of Spud pushing away players and then trying to capitalize with the free tower. Looks like what they're going to do. Gragas is taking a bit of damage from Cubon. No big deal though. Jinx will get excited, run around in circles, and they pick up yet another tower. They're 7th to be precise.
Yeah, that opens up the inhibitor for them, and now that means MYM, well, what are they going to do? Are they going to engage this? No, because they'll lose. Are they going to just let them take all the towers? Well, they may have to, and if they do, they will lose. So kind of in a rock hard place kind of situation. Maybe if they can get some kind of really fortunate pick, but even if they did get like a clean ace for nothing, they'd still be so far behind that K3 would just come right back at them, and that would be so difficult for them to deal with. Jims is now taking the inhib, and they can't respond.
Yep, exactly. They're going to try to, slice and dicing, and this could be desperation. A final attempt to pull it back here. Lots of players taking damage from K3, but they have to sustain damage because Charu's used that ultimate. Meanwhile, Mackless trying to focus down Malphite. I'm not too sure that's the smartest of ideas. Will be falling from that Ignite. Neptuno's chasing after Charu now, who will be falling after flashing through. Double kill for Gragas, and that's a 3 for 1 trade so far, with an inhibitor going down for K3. So again, K3 coming out ahead, and I fully agree with what you said before, as Makate's trying to run away from both Eco and Tremnek. He could actually get away here. Repel comes out from Eco, he'll be jumping in. No, he won't. He's going to die.
Yeah, we actually saw a flash Thresh Lantern to get Elite in range for that there. Very, very narrow stuff there, but doesn't really matter at this stage. At this point, MYM need to start thinking about what they're going to do in the next game. This is a best of 3 series after all, and definitely looks like there's going to be a second game coming up relatively shortly, because K3 are way, way ahead, and we need to start identifying what exactly is the cause of this defeat. Also, there's an invisible blue buff, but that is a secondary concern compared. Is there anything particularly that stood out to you about what K3 did well this game?
Well, I think they've just they've utilized their composition to the max here, and they realized that early to mid they were stronger than Meet Your Makers, and as we said, they were relentless with going for the jugular, with forcing towers, with forcing objectives, so I think they played that very well. I think Libic's Zyra is hit or miss right now. He either has amazing games or he goes way, way behind. And we've seen a couple times here, Spud, that he's just been insta-gibbed. He's been pretty much explosive cask and died. Everyone knows how good his Thresh is, but Tremnek actually picked Thresh away from him. So it's a case of maybe Libic going for one of a more comfortable champion next game.
Yeah, MYM maybe even took them a little bit lightly. I don't know. They certainly took out quite a lot of power picks, but I feel like MYM's team comp really doesn't work together in the same way that K3 is. They picked a lot of the champions that are highly valued at the moment. You know, they got the Shyvana, they got the Lucian, they got the Renekton, they got Ziggs, but they just don't seem to work that well together, whereas K3 do have quite a solid comp. If they could get one person picked off, they just destroy them. MYM's tools for picking people, Zyra route maybe, if someone is out of position. Compare that to, Explosive Cask, to Elise damage, to the Unstoppable Force, all these tools all the time. Yes, they can be used for hard engage, and that's probably why they picked Zyra, to defend against that, but they can also be used to just take one person out and then look to move on for another objective after that.
Yeah, and I think they've just done such a good job of also picking Malphite, Spud. You mentioned this previously that we've got a Malphite here, and it's a bit strange because he's not been seen actively for quite a while, but he works so well against Zyra. Zyra's a good disengaging champion as I'm talking. Charu takes a lot of burst damage. Here comes the Jinx ult as well. Stranglethorns comes down. Death Sentence has landed on Libic, who takes a lot of damage again. Could be falling. Nope, the Zap will just about miss. But again, they've done enough damage to force away the support, and they could be jumping on top of this inhib tower as a result. It's exactly what they're doing, already at about half hit points. And they're just going to maybe back away and wait for this creep wave to come down.
I don't know, it depends. Actually, no, they're going to go for it.
Oh, actually going to be engaging. Stranglethorns goes ahead, knocks up a few players. Jims is actually very low, forced to back away. Kubon's trying his best to chase after. Beautiful dark passage. The shield will keep him alive. Kubon will now be going down, or will he actually? He's escaping on about 100 hit points. So close. And again, we've had all hell breaking loose and no players falling. Just goes to show how well these players know their limits. They don't want to be engaging for too long. But this is going to favor K3. They're stronger in terms of items, they're stronger overall. Kubon's going to come back in after getting the home guard boost, chasing back at Jims. He's not going to pick up this kill. He will, however, take down Gragas alongside Libic. Makate's running away by the skin of his teeth. Repel comes in with the Guardian's Angel up. Eco, he should be okay with this dark passage, will be able to escape, and Kubon again, so close yet so far on Jims.
Indeed, and Eco actually now going to be having to run for his life. Will they be able to chase this down?
Well, it looks like they may. In fact, no, they're not. This is just so frustrating from Meet Your Maker's perspective because they've got 3 or 4 players in as many seconds down to flashing up red. Jims is running away from Charu. He should be falling. There we go. The passive, the short fuse will be picking that one down. Now can Makler make some mechanical plays happen? Nope, he can't. Charu picks up his double. And at the end of that was a 4-for-2 trade. In fact, very nearly a 5-for-2 as the ultimate goes down. Tremnek will manage to survive, throws through the bomb, not going to be landing.
Massive difference between the two teams here, though. That fight essentially started off with MYM getting a really good initiation. Then, because they were so far behind, they ended up having to run away. So they kind of went back one at a time. Several people ran back, healed up, came back in. For the still there Karont3, who had not healed, had not killed anyone, essentially fought several team fights in a row. And even then, they were still barely able to come out with a slight victory. MYM is miles and miles behind just on gold, and that is the snowballing effect in progress. It's really, really hard for them to do anything against Karont3 at this point. However, now, it does seem like they did kind of win the fight, but it's just a question of whether they'll be able to stop Karont3 from continuing to just go back to what they were doing and taking advantage after advantage. Shyvana versus Gragas.
Yes, does Shyvana have the movement? Has Dragon's Descent? Will be getting away, but the ultimate has been popped. Couple bits of a silver lining, however, from Meteor Makers. One, Charu got a double kill, is now starting to fill out his item build very nicely. He's now going to start to do some serious damage. Rabadon's Death Cap, Seraph's Embrace, and a Void Staff. Lots of magic penetration. And their inhibitor has respawned in mid. So that's the good news. The bad news is that Baron has been started off, and Meteor Maker's not in a good position. Unstoppable Force does go down. And will be missing on Libic, who I believe flashed away. Yes, he did. So using that summoner to keep himself alive. So they've stopped the Baron for now, but Libic's going to go down from Gragas. So all of what I just said, scratch that. They're going to go back onto Baron and probably pick it up.
Yep, free Baron. No way you can fight 4v5 against that level of disadvantage. It's just not a viable option, and no steals today on the Baron buff. Yeah, MYM once again back on the back foot, but you can't really fault Libic for dying like this when he's playing Zyra in this situation, because he's so squishy and he has to get the vision down. If he doesn't get the vision down, somebody else will get caught, and if you're going to have to sacrifice someone, you take the 50-50, you might lose your support versus the 100% that someone else will get caught eventually. And Neptuno just doesn't even care. Whatever.
I'll tank the tower, let Jims just poke it from range with Fishbones. Why the hell not? So that is the second vulnerable naked in here now. It's mid and top. And as you say completely correctly, this is one of the pitfalls of playing a support, and in particular Zyra support. Very squishy. Death Sentence lands on Mikate. Is tanky than before. Stranglethorn's down the box as well, so all of the ults being popped here. Kuban with Dominus is chasing right at the back lines, but Jims is doing so much damage. Now going to be poking from Rage onto Mikate. Picks up 3-for-0 trade. It's going to be a 4-for-0 now. And now just Libic remains, and I don't fancy his chances against all 5 players of K3. That's going to be all she wrote. It's going to be the GG for game number 1.
Good odds, I believe. No, GG is coming in from MYM here, and Karont3 do take the first game with a really, really nice bit of gameplay, honestly, because a lot of it came down to that very first red buff fight. You remember that? Eco was able to get that red buff. He was able to get level 3. He was able to push Shyvana out, then start ganking, getting his lanes ahead, slow down a little bit, but then after a while, it seemed like Karont3 just started to get the team fights, and they started to get them to work really well in their favor. So we'll see if MYM are able to pick themselves into a better setup next time. But in the meantime, we will be just going into a quick break.